Hello, everyone. My name is Moises Esparza. I'm the exhibitions manager for the San Diego Latino Film Festival. This is day 5 of our 27th edition, brought to you virtually via the Eventive platform. We're approaching the halfway mark of our festival, but we still have many more days and a lot more films to screen. Our last day is September 27th, so I encourage you to not only watch the films, but also to spread the word about our festival to your friends and family. At the top of each day, we've been having these Meet the Filmmakers social media hangouts, where we've been talking to filmmakers about filmmaking, film culture, their own movies, of course, and then just creativity in general. If you have any comments or questions for the filmmakers, please post them on social media. I'll bring them on screen and we can answer them. They'll answer them, they'll contribute their thoughts. So feel free to engage with us during the conversation. We'll have dialogue in both English and Spanish. If you need translation, just write it in the comments. We'll speak in either language for the most part, or the language at hand, just so we can keep the conversation going. But like I said, if you do need a translation, please let us know in the comments. All right, let's get started. We're gonna have a full house. Not everyone is here yet, but as they arrive, I'll add them to a broadcast. So let's do a bit of a roll call. We have Fernando Fisher, director of Perturbado. Hello, Fernando. How are you?
Hola, Moisés. ¿Cómo estás? Hi, everybody.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias.
Okay, voy a agregar al siguiente. Emil Gallardo, director of 123, All Eyes on Me. Hi, Emil. How are you?
I'm good. How's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
We have Alex Hermógenes, director of Volveré. Hello, Alex. Hola, Alex.
Hey, how's it going? Hola. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. And last but not least, we have Luna Maran. Tenemos a Luna Maran, la directora de Tío Jim. Luna Maran is the director of Tío Jim. Hola, Luna, ¿cómo estás?
Hola a todos, un gusto saludarlos.
Bienvenida de nuevo.
Igual,
Luna
mucho
did a
gusto.
hangout. Luna did a hangout with us earlier. It was on Saturday, and she also did a wonderful Q&A for Tío Jim. Gracias por estar con nosotros de nuevo. I think I'll throw out the first question. Just kind of, it'll be an easy one, just to kind of get the conversation going. This pandemic time has given us the opportunity to maybe catch up on a lot of movies or watch movies in general. Maybe you can share any impactful or great movies that you've seen during this pandemic time. Para empezar la conversación, vamos a empezar con algo simple. Quizás pueden nombrar una o varias películas que han visto durante estos tiempos de la pandemia que quizás los ha inspirado. Pero antes de comenzar, tenemos un nuevo ingresante. Before we start, we have a new member joining us. Hi, Mark. How are you? Hola, Mark.
Hello. How you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I told the group already, but I'm going to start the conversation with a softball question,
Okay.
talking about maybe a film that you've seen during these pandemic times that have maybe inspired you,
Okay.
or that you've really liked. And then we'll do a deeper dive into your film and also filmmaking in general.
Sure.
The conversation will be in English and Spanish, so feel free to use whichever language you prefer. But okay, I'm just going to cold call someone to start. Okay, Emil, tell us a great movie that you've seen during this pandemic period.
So the best thing I've seen in the last couple months is probably Succession, which isn't a movie but a TV show on HBO. So there's 2 seasons. I like binge watched both in about 4 days. But Succession, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
Nice. And they won a few awards yesterday, right, at the Emmys?
It did, yeah, it did. I think it won Best Drama.
It's a great show. It's a great show with amazing dialogue. Sometimes I watch it just on background for some reason.
Okay.
I'm not even watching. I'm just listening to the dialogue because I think it's so good. Okay, ¿quién sigue? A ver, Fernando. Fernando, tell us a movie. Cuéntanos una película que has visto.
Well, basically, I've been also like everybody else in the virtual film festivals. We just finished one called Horrible Imaginings. and when I saw a lot of short films, that's more of a horror genre film festival. There was a lot of short films there that came and introduced the era of the pandemic, right? Like zombie movies and stuff like that. So it was funny because one of the filmmakers was actually he just finished one of his movies, and it was about a pandemic. So before everything happened, he basically just read the future with that film that he made, and it was very interesting. It was really good, and it was about the pharmaceutical companies that are actually just trying to sell the product in order to gain obviously more money and influence more people with their products. So it was really interesting.
And it was filmed prior to the pandemic, or was it filmed during the
It
pandemic?
was prior to the pandemic, and once he released it, the pandemic just evolved around it. So it was a pretty amazing story that he had to tell.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for sharing, Mark. Why don't you share something that you've seen that has inspired you recently?
Okay. I think, like many of us, we just started kind of binging starting in mid-March. I started binge watching a show called Narcos. I don't know if you've ever seen it or heard about it. It's 5 seasons on Netflix, and it's all the first 2 seasons are about the Colombian cartel, and then actually the 3rd season is 2, and then the 2nd seasons are about the Mexican cartel. And 5 seasons, I started watching that, and I binge watched. Oh God, let's see, so 5 seasons, 50 episodes. I did 50 episodes in about 3 weeks' time. Yeah. That was really cool. And then after that, I said, okay, that's enough with the series. I'm a filmmaker, and yet there's a lot of classics that I've never seen. So I kind of went down AFI's list and a bunch of other lists like, IMDb top 250 or AFI's top 100 or other movies in the past that have won Oscars. And I started with Stagecoach and started with the 1939 classic Stagecoach, and then Citizen Kane, Casablanca. And then I worked my way all through the 40s, 50s, and late 60s, catching up on some classics. So that has inspired me, seeing how pioneering filmmaking kind of started. And one of the great movies I saw was called it's escaping my A Touch of Evil is what it's called. It's Orson Welles directed it. He also co-stars in it. Charlton Heston's in it as well, and it's a great classic, and it's well known for their opening shots. It's about a 3-minute crane shot, which was very pioneering for its time, and that's very inspirational, I think.
That's awesome, Mark. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to add someone new to the stream. Kevin Nostrates, the director of 92115.
He's the director,
Kevin,
the producer of 92115, and there's Kevin, the director. Yeah.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Kevin?
Ooh, Kevin, we're having a little hard time hearing you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me or no?
Oh, hi. We hear you. Yeah. Welcome to the stream.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to put you on the spot and tell us a movie that you've seen recently that you really liked. That's kind of our icebreaker today.
Yeah, I saw that and I was thinking about that, and honestly, nothing. I don't know if it's just because, just being in the quarantine, I don't know, just leaves me kind of uninspired, like unmotivated, like I don't want to do things that I normally would enjoy in a way, like so I'm trying to think, but I haven't really seen a lot of things. I don't know, maybe I'm more of a music fan. Like music has been more of my refuge during this time, even though I love creating films and I feel like I have a talent for that. I've relied more on music during this time, and if you ask me what I could live without, music or movies, I would say movies. I could live without movies. I couldn't live without hearing new music.
Kevin, we're going to kick you out of the
Every day.
stream. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing,
Yeah,
Kevin.
sorry to
what-
burst your bubble.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, on the topic of inspiration, creativity, have any of you created something during this period of time, whether it's written or have you filmed something using social distancing measures? Durante estos tiempos, ¿han creado algo, si fue un guión o si quizás filmaron algo usando, no, observando las regulaciones contra, bueno, las transmisiones del coronavirus? ¿Qué han hecho? ¿Qué han creado? Sí, algo. Luna, te pregunto a ti. A ver, tú primero.
Bueno, justo la pandemia interrumpió el rodaje de mi primera ficción como directora, que se llama Chicharras. Es una ficción que va a ser filmada en la Sierra Norte de Oaxaca y pues hemos aprovechado la circunstancia para retrabajar el guión y ahora actualizarlo a una historia post-COVID. Entonces estamos trabajando de lleno y también la pandemia me ha permitido poder empezar un camino en la escritura del cómic, lo cual me tiene también súper contenta y emocionada. Es otro lenguaje y también como muy maravilloso como poder participar en un equipo creativo haciendo un cómic que esperemos dentro también de 1 año o 2 años poderlo compartir con todos ustedes.
¿Y tú vas a hacer las animaciones del cómic?
No, solo estoy trabajando en la parte del guión con otro compañero que se llama Rasheni Lascano y como es un argumento de Yasnaya Elena Aguilar, así que bueno, próximamente podremos compartirlo, pero ha sido interesante, ¿no? Como cambiar de la escritura de guión de cine a pasar a la escritura de guión de cómic, como los retos narrativos que implican, ¿no? Poder contar algo en imagen fija, ¿no? Otra vez, ¿no? O sea, como cómo puedes contener las acciones, ¿no? En qué imágenes y cómo se va construyendo la narrativa. Creo que es un interesante como cambio de switch para después ahora regresar también al guión de ficción y entonces como replantear también cómo se hace la narrativa, ¿no? De esta película.
Oye, Luna, y disculpa la pregunta, ¿qué es chicharras? ¿Qué es?
Chicharras es un insecto que, bueno, al menos en algunas partes de México se le nombra así y que tiene como un sonido como muy perturbador, por decirlo de una forma, y que además anuncia como la lluvia y la aparición, digamos, de las chicharras, ¿no? Que son unos insectos, o sea, se da como previo a la temporada de lluvias.
A la lluvia. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Luna was working on her narrative debut right as the pandemic hit, but this time has allowed her to go back and rework the script a bit. It's named Chicharras, which is named for an insect whose buzzing sound kind of forecasts changing weather. And she's also now working on a comic book. So she's having an interesting time translating what it is to write for a film versus what it is to write for a comic book. Does everyone speak Spanish or should I translate? Does everyone speak Spanish?
Un poquito.
Un poquito. Okay. Okay.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's fine. I'll carry on.
You'll practice. Okay. Good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Alex, ¿qué tal tú? ¿Tú has creado algo? Have you created anything during this time?
Actually, hi everyone. Yeah, actually, I've been working on a new project. Due to this pandemic and everybody at home right now, I kind of staying away from everyone, and trying to shelter. Actually, following a little bit of my Volveré new short film, taking from Mexican tradition and the rich culture of Mexican tradition and storytelling. I've been working on a new project that is based also in a Mexican tradition. More in this case, is more a legend, a horror legend. And so I've been doing some interesting research. I've been watching some documentaries, some history of California and Mexico, because this is going to happen, along two cultures, centuries. So I've been learning and researching about a lot about La Inquisición, the Holy Inquisition in back in 1500s, and amazing things, because there's been movies about this period. The movie El Santo Oficio, the Arturo Ripstein, excellent movie. I highly recommend it to you. It's about the Holy Inquisition, all the murders and terrible things that they committed. And so I'm gonna bring it. I've been doing a lot of research, watching, reading, watching videos, watching documentaries on this time period. And actually, I just found my own character, found the character. Doing my research, I had some ideas about characters and story, but by doing this research, I found a character that he was actually waiting for me. And so now it's going to be coming 3 centuries later to San Diego, that's where I live. It's funny because I was born in Mexico City, and then the movie, that's where the story begins, and then the movie will continue 3 centuries later in San Diego, and I've been doing a lot of research on the misiones, San Diego missions, and I actually was able to go out of my house and go to the mission, San Diego mission, and Presidio Park in San Diego, and I was actually doing some scouting in the same real time and real buildings that existed back in those times. So I'm able to go through those places to find some history of what happened and get the feeling of what actually happened in those buildings. It's been an amazing journey, and I've been busy doing that when I am able to, but it's been fascinating, really.
Thank you, Alex, for sharing. Emil, how about you?
Yeah, so I've been haven't been able to film anything, but I've been working on a feature and a pilot, first feature and first pilot, so both brand new to me. But yeah, I've just been developing both with 2 different co-writers.
That's nice. Can you share what they're about, or is it still like top secret?
Yeah. So the pilot is about a black male porn star. So it's a dramedy, 30-minute dramedy. It's called BBC. If you don't know what that stands for, I'll let you Google that on your own. But yeah, it's a 30-minute kind of political yet dark comedy, raunchy dramedy. And then the feature is about 2 best friends. One of them has a daughter, and he's also dying of a liver disease. And his other friend kind of has more of a reckless lifestyle, and they've kind of drifted apart over the years as one's kind of become a dad and the other has continued partying. And it is kind of about them trying to come back together while the one friend still has a little bit of time left in this world. So it's also a dramedy, but kind of based on one of my friendships with one of my friends that I've known for a long time.
Thank you, Emil, for sharing. Let's move on to a new question. I'm curious, what aspect of filmmaking we have a lot of aspiring filmmakers who may not have created their first short or first feature yet. They might be tuning in to just get some inspiration. I'm curious to know, as filmmakers, what is the easiest part of filmmaking and the hardest part of filmmaking? Tenemos muchos escuchadores que quizás no han realizado su primer corto o su primer largometraje. Me interesa saber, en lugar de consejos, quizás quiero saber en su experiencia cuál es lo más fácil de hacer una película y lo más difícil de hacer una película. Who goes first? ¿Quién va primero? Okay. Mark, maybe from a producer's perspective, you have some insight.
Okay, you said what's the easiest and what's the hardest, right?
Yeah.
I'd say probably the easiest is probably the pre-production, I think. At our level, I mean, it's different once you have to get like investors and get all that money together. That's the hardest part. But at our level, it's easy to because our movie, if anyone's seen it, but our movie God, Kevin, how much it cost? Probably like $250.
Yeah, it was very low budget.
Yeah,
Uh,
super low.
I think the most
But
I think the most money was spent on like sandwiches and stuff.
exactly, yeah, exactly. Jersey Mike's. I think the pre-production is probably the easiest because everything's still ideal and simple. And then followed by that is probably the production because that's the funnest part. And I think probably the hardest part is the post-production because that's the least glamorous, the editing and kind of getting people together in case you have to do reshoots or I had to do ADR for my character. I'm also character 92115. And then, you have to have a little bit of a marketing budget, which we did to afford getting into festivals such as yours, So those are the three stages, but I would say probably the easiest one, the most fun one is probably production, and then maybe pre-production followed by post-production, in my opinion.
Thanks, Mark. Fernando, why don't you tell us your perspective?
Lo más difícil y lo más canijo de todo esto es el dinero.
El
El
dinero.
dinero para
Okay.
me to start the production. As me as an indie filmmaker, my budget is super low, obviously, because I'm the producer, I'm the executive producer, and that for me is the hardest part. Then from there, the easiest part for me is directing. Funny you said that because when I actually got a crew, I got my DP, I got a gaffers, I got everything. So everybody was doing their own thing. It came more easier for me to go directly with my DP into the actor and actually try to explain what I wanted on the script. I love that part so much of explaining and directing the actors and how I want certain scenes or the whole things, or the whole short film, and doing. And obviously, the fun part is also, like Mark said, the post production. The editing part, the color correcting, the music, the adding the little bits and pieces, the foley's, everything. To me, that's the most fun part. And obviously, it's a stressing part also because you want it to be all excellent and everything, and it's just little things that come together. But yeah, that's what I like about filmmaking. The post production about it is the most fun part about it, and the directing, obviously. But again, the hardest part is get that money so that product can can come to life. For me, as an independent film director, as an indie filmmaker,
and do you raise money? Do you raise money through Indiegogo or what's your?
Try to, but I'm not. I was not really familiar with it, so I was trying to. But mostly, the one that gives me the money is Uncle Sam in my tax returns. That's what I use my money for. But so I try to save up as much as I can, and obviously everybody gets paid when they're working. They don't get paid like the thousands and thousands of dollars like in Hollywood, but we try to stay in a fair range and come into an agreement, and paying them, a decent amount. I don't want to say how much because, but yeah, that's the hardest part. El dinero, con el dinero baila el chango.
Yeah. We have someone else joining us, Enrique Perez. Hi, Enrique. How are you?
Hello. Hi, Moses. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We're just talking about the easiest and hardest things about making movies.
Oh, well, I think Fernando just mentioned it. Like the hardest thing is definitely the money for us independents, especially in this in. I know I'm just meeting you guys. I don't know if you work in Latin America or you work in the States, but especially in the Central American region, there's no grants or state funding is really new, and and private enterprises are not they're not keen to how do you say apoyar
Or
to help out with cultural projects. So yeah, it's definitely the hardest part, but like Fernando just said, I've been working low budget films for the past 10 years. adjusting to the context, adjusting to our context of not only wanting to make film in an independent context of indie filmmaking, but making films in countries that are not traditionally, they don't have like a filmmaking tradition, like Panama, for instance. And it's like carrying a double weight. It's like you're trying to do film, like outside of that, mainstream system, but you're also trying to make films on countries that don't have this film tradition. So not only that the state is not helping you out, and their private companies look at you weirdly, like, why are you making films? But also like the viewers, people your potential audience on your own countries, like, well, this is strange. Why are you making films in Panama? We don't make films. It's like, if this is not a product we produce, so why are you producing it here? And so it's kind of a barrier that that I've encountered, that we have to like also like make people conscious that making films in your own country is important, because film is like a mirror of society, a mirror of your own community. And a country like mine, like Panama, like it's, for me as a filmmaker, it's important for me to make films in my own country, so we can have this very special mirror that the movie screen is, or the film is.
Thank you, Enrique, for joining us and for answering that. I know I put you on the spot, but you answered that beautifully. Thank you for that perspective. Now that there's more of us here, we can maybe talk a little bit more in depth about what your movies are about. So maybe provide a 1 or 2 sentence logline. This is the classic elevator pitch challenge.
Yeah.
What is your movie about? Ya que se reunieron bastantes de los cineastas, vamos a platicar un poco acerca de sus películas. Si nos pueden dar un sinopsis breve de lo que se trata, o de, bueno, de la historia central de sus películas. Podemos empezar. Quiero que todos participen. I want everyone to participate, so I'll just call on you and you just kind of share with us. So yeah, Alex, tell us what Volveré is about.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Volveré is basically we recreate the beautiful tradition of Dia de los Muertos, and all the magic, and all the what's going on. What is particularly a mother, a daughter who visit the cemetery, and they bring flowers and all the items that are supposed to be part of the tradition. And while they're decorating the tomb of the grandmother, they are talking about the storytelling, the grandmother, the traditions that the granddaughter learned from the grandmother. And while they are, spending that beautiful, magical time, Dia de los Muertos, on the actual cemetery, they have a very special visit from the afterlife. And that's pretty much, we try to recreate the beautiful belief of the Dia de los Muertos.
Thank you, Alex. Gracias. Mark and Kevin, maybe you can split the duties in terms of like what the film is about. 92115.
Kevin, do you want to go for it, or do you want to?
Yeah. So it's about a young postman and his experiences being a postman, like in the ghetto, basically.
Yeah. And the zip code is 92115, and he's like a temporary mailman. And it's based on a true story by Ryan Bradford. And he actually wrote the article for the City Beat, and then we just adapted it. And basically, yeah, like Kevin said, about the trials and tribulations and misadventures while being a temporary postal carrier in zip code 92115.
Where is 92115?
If you're familiar with San Diego, it's close to San Diego State.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Luna, cuéntanos de Tío Jim. No te oímos, disculpa, no te oímos.
Tío Jim es un documental oaxaqueño mexicano que buscamos hacer a partir de una premisa que es que nuestras familias no son perfectas y que buscamos entendernos, sanar las heridas del pasado y construir una historia juntos. Más allá de ser una película, Tío Jim busca hacer una pregunta: ¿cuántas formas hay de decir te quiero? ¿Y qué pasaría si cuestionáramos esta pregunta en cada una de nuestras culturas, localidades y formas de vivir la vida? Es un retrato muy amoroso y complejo y confrontador también en las relaciones padres e hijos. Y hay mucha música de Jaime Martínez Luna, que es mi padre. Entonces, pues les digo que sí les va a gustar. ¡Ah!
Gracias, Luna. Está muy bello el documental.
Gracias.
Sinceramente, sí. Fernando, cuéntanos de Perturbado.
Perturbado. Well, Perturbado is about it's a psychological thriller, and it's about this guy who is trying to better himself, going to a psychologist. But as he's telling the psychologist what's wrong with him, we see his heinous acts of violence and murders that he makes throughout his his journey. He's not really sure if all this is real or not, but what he does know that he wants to get better. And like I said, he goes to a psychologist to try to get better himself. There's all these demons that he has inside of him that are not letting him think straight. So that's the logline of Perturbado.
Thank you, Fernando. Enrique, tell us about Días de Luz. Cuéntanos de Días de Luz.
Okay, Días de Luz, Days of Light is a story about. It's actually 6 stories that come together. They all happen in different countries of the Central American region, and it's about a blackout, like the a loss of power, of electrical power in all the Central American region, in all the 6 countries. And it's about how all these different characters in all these different countries, like they confront the lack of comfort that comes with, electrical power and all the gadgets and the technology, and how they face the uncertainty of what's going on, because there's no media, there's no internet, and they don't, and it's common for people for in our countries to have these blackouts, but not for 5 days. This is a 5-day blackout. So after the second day, people start going crazy and they don't know what's going on, and a lot of panic. But it's about how people like face this situation, and we see in all the different countries how they're facing this strange situation, and how even though they're in different geographical locations, they all come together with a sense of solidarity and community to face a peculiar situation like this blackout. So it's an effort. This movie is like an effort to unite the region in one situation, and it has the particularity that it was directed, like all 6 stories was directed by 6 different directors each in one different country. So it's like we all shot a piece of the movie, and then we edited it together to make like a ensemble piece.
And Enrique will be participating in a Q&A for the film later tonight, and I'm going to tune in because I want to know how all these different visions congeal together with such cohesion. So congratulations on your accomplishment, Enrique. Who's left? Emil, tell us about 1, 2, 3, All Eyes on Me.
Yeah, so well, first of all, your guys' movies sound amazing, and I need to watch them. So 1, 2, 3, All Eyes on Me is a narrative short. Takes place at an elementary school from the perspective of Miss Lena, who is a teacher in the classroom. And it's a super emotional, really intense film about a crisis that hits and how Miss Lina kind of copes with it and helps her class through the situation.
Thank you, Emil. Thank you so much for sharing. Moving away, I guess maybe a little bit from your movies, back to the topic of inspiring other filmmakers, I suppose. What is maybe like the one piece of advice that you've carried with you throughout your entire filmmaking career? Like what sort of advice maybe defined your thought process or the way you approach filmmaking? I mean, what is this advice? And maybe share what your own advice would be to someone who would ask you, I want to get into movies, like where do I start or what do I need to know? So la siguiente pregunta tiene que ver también un poco con lo que es aconsejar a cineastas que están, bueno, que son aspirantes en esta profesión. Quizás pueden compartir cuál es el consejo más importante que les ha ayudado en su carrera y quizás también mencionar un consejo personal que viene de ustedes mismos que quisieran compartir con un cineasta que quizás está a punto de empezar su carrera como cineasta. Okay. Kevin, why don't you share the advice first? Or the best advice you've gotten?
Okay. This is the first thing that comes to mind. I remember I was in a theater class, and I'm not actually that into theater. I just had to take the class just for credits or whatever in my major. So I was just kind of there, and I was like, theater, it's not my thing. But the teacher said something on the first day that like really stuck with me to this day, and he said, "Great art conceals art," and I was like, "Yeah, that's true." So I always try to do that. And so I would give my advice to young filmmakers is to don't try to be artsy, like don't try to be artistic, like just try to be practical and the art will come from that. Don't try to force any art, any vision. Just try to complete your work in the most practical way. That's my advice to young filmmakers.
Thank you, Kevin, for sharing. Fernando, why don't you tell us like the best piece of advice you've gotten and maybe a piece from yourself, like a personal piece of advice that you would give someone else?
Well, I started making my own short films when my stepdad bought a VHS camera. So that was my first love into filmmaking, because film I've loved since I was a little kid. So there was nobody to tell me, what, do this and do that. It was just by myself. It was basically the camera telling me, hey, look at me, you can do stuff with me. And from there, the advice that I will give cineastas out there is just keep shooting whatever you want. Try to find your own art, try to find your own voice. It could be horror, it could be drama, it could be action, it could be whatever you want. And you'll find yourself as a director to whatever genre you want. I'm in the mix still right now. I really don't know what kind of genre I like, but I do know that I like horror and I do know that I like drama. So I'm trying to mix those together because I'm still trying to find myself as a director and what type of genre. So basically, shoot whatever you want and find your craft, find your art by yourself. Time will tell. Don't give up. I mean, I'm still trying to get into the Hollywood fortune and fame of it, but just keep on filming and don't worry about what everybody's going to say. You're going to have horrible short films. You're going to have horrible first feature films, but that's the way that it is. With every practice or whatever project that you make, it's a learning experience, it's a learning curve. So that's how you know that you're getting better, by watching your past films and learning about them and saying, okay, I did this wrong on this one. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. So just keep filming, keep on filming and trying to find your own.
Thank you, Fernando. Alex, how about you?
Well, the best advice I got actually was from my father. My father actually was part of Pedro Infante movies en la época de oro del cine. He actually was a supporting actor, had some dialogues with the biggest golden era of Mexican cinema. He will say, he will put writings, literature into my hands, and it will inspire me. Of course, that watching my dad in these movies was an inspiration, and his advice was follow your dreams. Go for it, write, because actually I'm a writing major. I teach. I'm a teacher actually. I teach language arts in San Diego, and this is my directorial debut. And what advice would I give to others aspiring filmmakers is surround yourself with talented people. That's exactly what I did. Really, in my film, I got so lucky to have such a great actors and actresses actually, from Tijuana, from Baja, and from Mexicali. And having that in my project was definitely a bless, and that will be my advice. Surround yourself with talented people, and you will create something that you would not even expect yourself that you would make possible.
Thanks, Alice. Alex, does anyone else want to volunteer? Any feedback or tips they've gotten?
Just a bit what Alex said, that surround yourself by talented people, because it is the most collaborative art. So, yeah,
absolutely.
And
anyone else want to share? Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I think for me, I think the best advice I got, and it was from my mom, and it had nothing to do with movies, but I apply it all the time, is just to listen to your heart. I feel by truly listening to yourself, it'll kind of guide you, not only in terms of the story that you want to tell, but like everybody else is saying, filmmaking is such a team sport. So who you want to work with, who you want to cast, the decisions you make. So if you're really true to yourself and authentic, you're going to make stuff that resonates and that you'll be proud of, and that'll keep you going.
Thank you, Emil. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to share something that Emil just said, about being true and being I think it's very important to be honest. Be honest with yourself about what you wanna, about the stories you wanna tell, about the projects you wanna pursue, because they're gonna take a long time. It's gonna take a long time to actually build up the project, shoot the film, and finish it, and then the distribution and everything. So you want to be really, I guess, really honest with yourself about the project you want to do, the story you want to tell, because you don't want to be 3-4 years working on something that then you see oh, why am I doing this? Why am I shooting this film? Why am I telling this story? And so it's a commitment. It's a serious commitment once you decide to do a feature length film. And I think you have to take the time and to be serious and honest with yourself about what you really want to do, and not just do any film just because you want to do film. I feel I also teach here in Panama, and I feel sometimes my students are I want to make a film because it's fun, or I just saw this funny story on the newspaper, and now I want to make a film out of it. And it's I'm always telling whoa, take it easy, reflect, and see if that's really the film you want to make, and that's really the commitment you want to take for a couple of years. So I think that's the best advice I've gotten and I can give back.
Thank you, Enrique. My next question has to do more about has to be less with advice, or this could be advice, I guess, but the presence of how you respond as artists, or how do you respond as artists to criticism? How do you, after you release a film, how do you take in audience feedback and maybe professional critics feedback? Does that affect your craft? How does it affect when a critic loves your film? How does it affect you when a critic does not like your film? Is there criticism that's more important to you? Is it more important for your friends and family to like your film? than some stranger on Letterboxd. I'm interested to know what role the criticism plays, I guess, and how it affects your craft. La pregunta tiene que ver sobre cómo reciben como cineastas críticas que existen acerca de su proyecto, si fuera, o igual críticas negativas, positivas, cómo informa su proceso, cómo informan sus proyectos futuros, qué les hace sentir. Hay tipos de críticas que les importa más que otras formas, si les importa más que sus familiares, sus amigos les gustan sus proyectos, si pueden compartir. Does anyone want to start talking about criticism? I'm going to call someone.
I'll go. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Alex.
Well, it was funny because, like I said, this is my directorial debut, and I always believe in feedback. The power of feedback is very important. And I surrounded myself with very important filmmakers in the area, La Frontera, Tijuana, San Diego. So just while I was actually working on the project, got really important feedback from some of the important filmmakers in Tijuana. But also, based on your question, I just got actual professional criticism for my movie, for my film, for my short film, and actually, I believe it was very generous. I believe it was very formative, and it was a learning experience. So I take it as because it was good and bad, a positive and negative, or not negative, but more like a comment. But I believe that it helps me as a creator to see, what areas I might be I need to work in the actual cinematographic part, right? The cinema art. And so it was very helpful. And also, very, very important, it was some kind of reassurance that I actually, got some good stuff in there. And there's also a room for improvement. So I think it's positive in overall to listen to feedback.
Thank you, Alex. Anyone want to go next?
Well, I guess for our film, we made our film 1915 like about what, Kevin, 3 years ago, probably, like less than 3.
Yeah, it was like 2017.
Yeah, and then we screened it in 2018 for the first time to a public audience, but it wasn't done. It wasn't like color corrected and the sound and the ADR and the credits and all that stuff. And most people liked it, but there were a couple of friends, colleagues that were open, brutally honest. So, we just kind of took notes and made the proper adjustments and then sent it out to a bunch of festivals. And we actually did get some professional criticism from Film Threat. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they rated it like a 7.5 or something like that, which, is pretty decent. And then what I did, here's a little trick. I got the poster here behind me.
Oh, Mark's showing us. What's he showing?
What I did is I took the blurb, the nicest part they said, and then I put it on the poster with all the laurels.
Oh, marketing. Yes.
Marketing.
Very cool.
Marketing is key. So that's how you can use criticism to your advantage, by just taking a soundbite or whatever, like a little quote from the best part of it, and then use that to your advantage.
Thank you for the tip. Very good tip.
I was gonna add something. I think that any art, anyone who does art, or even anyone in the public eye, you have to have thick skin. You just have to develop, take criticism, not care too much either way, whether it's like really good or really bad, because if you just dwell on that, you won't move forward. So just take criticism with a grain of salt either way, I would say.
Thank you, Kevin. Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I get mucho.
No, please.
Go ahead, Luna. Yeah.
Sí, como invitarlos a, como a abrir los oídos. Creo que una de las cosas más difíciles es como escuchar lo que están diciendo sobre nuestro trabajo y poder identificar, digamos, qué viene como desde la razón, qué viene del corazón, qué viene de las vísceras y acomodar como esas ideas en el lugar correcto, ¿no? Yo recuerdo cuando estaba estudiando la universidad que uno de mis queridos maestros me dijo, bueno, ya lo intentaste, déjalo ahí, ¿no? O sea, no lo termines, no vale la pena, ¿no? Y creo que una de las cosas que se ocupa es como ser muy necio y tener como, o sea, creer en lo que estás haciendo, ¿no? Y entonces yo dije, no me importa lo que diga mi querido maestro, voy a terminar mi cortometraje y lo terminé y lo festivalié y gané premios, ¿no? Y si yo hubiera escuchado lo que dijo en ese momento el maestro, pues no hubiera terminado ese corto y tal ninguno otro después, ¿no? Entonces, para mí es como muy importante hacer como lo que focus group, que también se puede como leer, ¿no? Focus group como con los cortes, ¿no? Los guiones, ¿no? O sea, me gusta mucho que mi proceso creativo, digamos, sea invadido como por lo que están escuchando o viendo otras personas. O sea, me empieza a dar una idea muy clara de lo que se está logrando o no se está logrando con la película. Pero es muy delicado, es muy peligroso también, ¿no? Entonces, uno tiene que tener como esa habilidad para poder acomodar lo que se está diciendo. Creo que hay cosas que sirven y hay cosas que es mejor como olvidarlas, pero poder hacer esa diferencia entre lo que sirve, lo que es más racional o lo que va más desde las vísceras, ¿no? Es un gran reto y yo creo que justamente hay un largo proceso de aprendizaje como para poder llegar ahí, ¿no? O sea, superar digamos, el le gustó o no le gustó, sino poder profundizar en realmente cómo está impactando lo que estamos haciendo en los otros, ¿no? No en un rollo como de buscar la aceptación, sino más bien como de entender cómo se está siendo percibida la historia que estás contando. Y creo que sí es una gran habilidad a desarrollar dentro de la carrera de alguien que quiere dedicarse a contar historias o a construir discursos audiovisuales, ¿no?
Pues gracias, Luna, por compartir. Muchas gracias. Anyone else? ¿Alguien más quiere compartir?
Pues como decía mi abuela, preocúpate cuando no hablen de ti. Like my grandma used to say, worry whenever they're not talking about you. So, like, piggybacking on what Kevin said, you do have to have, thick skin because you are going to have those critics or those people or those friends or those family members that are going to say, I don't get it. I don't get your short. I don't, or somebody might say, you know what, that doesn't make sense to me or whatever. But, the real people that you want to make sure that they like it is the audience, and those are the most important people because, those are the people that are going to pay your ticket to go see your film. So you can take the critic good, you can take it bad, but, there's always going to be people talking and you're not ever going to have people happy. There's always going to be something. I should have done that, or you should have done this. Whatever, man.
Yeah, I tried sometimes I try
We
to
need a focus group next time, Mark.
Yeah, sometimes I try to divide criticism into two, like the criticism of people that are in the film industry or are more into film, and the criticism of people that actually just walk in and watch your movie. I think it's two different sets of criticism. I try to categorize, I guess, and see, okay, when someone that it's in the film industry usually is one type of criticism, and it's harder, and it's more into technical stuff or artistic stuff, and sometimes, and when people that actually just walk into a theater and it's just a film watcher, a viewer, it's more emotional feedback. So it's interesting in that way. Sometimes the emotional feedback actually it helps out, and it's more true than the one that's more technical.
Se siente más suave.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Sometimes I feel like, so from other filmmakers, they're usually telling you how they would make your movie. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But like Enrique saying, like, if people are emotionally responding to what you've made, your film is successful regardless of anything else. And there's a phrase that I keep in mind all the time, and that's that you're not as good as people say you are, and you're not as bad either. And that kind of keeps me somewhere in the middle. Like you don't want to blow your head up and believe all the hype, and at the same time, like, people can point out blind spots in areas that you do need to get better, where your movie is not connecting. And I think it's important to pay attention to that too, so you can continue to grow. But emotionally, it's hard. Like, these things come from our heart, and the criticizing does hurt. But just understanding, like, try to keep yourself in the middle, and then see if people are connecting to it, and then go from there.
It hurts a little.
It hurts a little, yeah. It hurts a little.
Well, thank you so much for all of your feedback. We're approaching the end of our time. Before, I guess, my last question, I just want to thank you all for all of your wonderful feedback, for your attention and your participation. It means a lot to this festival that the filmmakers have been really responsive to participating during these virtual events. We're all kind of learning as we go, as we kind of face the realities that the coronavirus has brought upon us in regards to festival exhibition. So a huge thanks to you, filmmakers, for allowing us and giving us permission to screen your wonderful films. I'm just going to go around and say when everyone's film screens. Emil's film 1, 2, 3, All Eyes on Me screened this past Saturday. Perturbado, 92115, Volveré, all play as part of the Fronteras Filmmakers Narrative Shorts program today at 6:15. Luna Maran's Tio Jim is playing now, and you have about 2 more hours to access it. So please buy your tickets right now. And then we have Días de Luz, which starts at it started 15 minutes ago at 4:45. It'll be available for 3 hours. And like I said, there will be a Q&A immediately following the screening. What else? Who else has a Q&A? Oh, and Fernando, Alex, Mark, and Kevin also have a Q&A following the Frontera Filmmakers program. Thank you all so much. And I guess my last question is, it's inescapable. You guys have to answer it is, what is your favorite movie? I know you guys love getting this question. ¿Cuál es su película favorita? And you don't have to give a reason. It's okay if it's Cats. I understand. No reason. It's all good. So let's start with Kevin. What's your favorite movie?
Ichi the Killer.
Okay. Mark.
Jaws.
Jaws. Okay. Luna, ¿cuál es su película favorita? No te oímos. No te escuchamos, digo.
La fórmula secreta de Rubén Gámez.
Okay, gracias. Fernando.
Película mexicana.
Poltergeist.
Okay. Emil, what's your favorite movie?
I go with Pulp Fiction, but I have like 10 favorite movies.
Yeah.
Alex.
Cinema Paradiso, Tornatore.
Enrique.
Network by Sidney Lumet.
Perfect. Wow, everyone did it without being like, oh, I can't name one. So congratulations, you passed the challenge. Thank you once again. Oh, wait, someone said, oh, this is for Enrique, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's my producer, Carolina.
That's a producer, right? Hola, Carolina. Hola, Caro.
Hello.
And then the Barrio Network is a great supporter of the San Diego Latino Film Festival. Thank you for writing a message. You saw the message from the executive director and founder, Ethan Fantillo. Thank you so much. And if you do not know this filmmaker, you should check him out. Juan Francisco Urrusti Alonso, professor, filmmaker, makes great films. So check him out if you haven't heard of him. He makes great films. And thank you so much, filmmakers. I can't wait to be able to screen, hopefully, your movies in a movie theater in the near future.
Yes.
I miss you all, but thank you for adapting with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank you. Thank you for.
Bye bye.